Blake Lively's team has made some massive blunders. We got the tilted lawyer himself here to break them down.
What's up, Andy?
Omar, my man is back. What's up?
How you doing?
Welcome to the show. I think they've been begging me to bring you back. Welcome back to the show. How you been?
Oh, I've been really busy, but I'm surviving out here. What can I say?
This is one of those shows where I'm just gonna have to talk as less as possible because they all want to hear you and that golden voice of yours. So apologies, I have to say some words first, chat, but welcome back, Omar, the tilted lawyer. I'm glad to have you here because I've been reporting a lot of just stuff that's been happening, and I wanted to get some legal analysis as to how stupid it all seems, but I wanted to hear it from you, a lawyer, to back up. Am I crazy? Is this stupid? And it's actually pretty bad sign for Blake Lively when Deadline, who's been so favorable to her throughout this whole piece, literally in in Blake's recent motion to ask for sanctions from Friedman responded with like 10 links from Deadline from Blake's own side, sort of talking badly about Justin. So to see Deadline have to basically do a headline that's calling her tone deaf was pretty juicy to see that the tides are turning. But let's start with the other woman in this photo, Miss Isabela Ferrer. I know you've been reporting on it on your channel and with Lauren. This Isabela Ferrer story, if you're not aware, is the co-star of It Ends With Us. And she filed this motion, I guess, to get out of it all. Like, she's like, I don't want to be subpoenaed. And then by Justin attempting to serve her through her lawyers, she declared that Justin was now harassing her. I guess I want to start there. When you read her documents, Omar, was there any sign of harassment in her complaints?
No. I mean, she was already subpoenaed by Blake. She apparently has complied with that subpoena and handed over things. Maybe she hasn't handed over some things. And so Friedman attempts to get the things that she failed to hand over. And, just professional courtesy. Just look, will you accept the subpoena on her behalf? And then, crickets twice. And then they try to serve her at addresses that they have on file. They can't find her because she's very transparently dodging service. And then it turns out she has this indemnity issue with Wayfarer where she wants them to pay for her attorneys. Whether or not she has an indemnity claim or not, I have no idea. But as far as the subpoena issue, they're trying to frame it in the context of their indemnity issue. Like they're dragging the indemnity stuff into this subpoena. This is a 23-page opposition to a motion for alternative service that you never see. Like usually when I do these, it's like at the most 3 or 4 pages.
Well, and not to interrupt, but I imagine this costs a lot more money too, does it not?
That's what I was just gonna say. It's like, yeah, the thing with indemnity is usually the employer gets to pick the attorney and they have some say as to what's actually gonna happen. But this attorney or this law firm that she's hired files this robust, as Friedman called it, robust opposition to a stupid issue. And Freeman's even like, look, we're not even saying we need her, but they subpoenaed her. They got information. We are assuming they're going to use her as a witness. If they say they're not going to use her, then we don't need anything from her. We'll quash it, whatever. It's so unimportant to us. And then in the midst, what was more puzzling to me was in the midst of this 23-page opposition, they're trying to make a special appearance, just basically arguing that she's not dodging service or whatever. And then they proceed to talk about the merits of the subpoena, that it's duplicative, that it's meant to harass, that it's meant to annoy, it's overly broad, all of these things, which is stuff that you should do if you're actually opposing the subpoena itself after you've been served with it.
Right.
But the fact they're doing
I can speak to that as someone who's actually been subpoenaed. You got to collect the subpoena before you can fight back. Correct.
And then make your objections. If they want to do them under Rule 45, fine. But it's no different than, hell, we just got done talking about content creators getting subpoenaed. They have nothing to do with this case. Virtually, I don't know if yours has been dismissed, but most of those have been basically dismissed at this point because they're done, whatever. The Wayfarer parties have done similar, or the Lively parties have done similar things. This subpoena was a non-party that Lively had already subpoenaed. She already accepted the subpoena. She'd already submitted evidence. They're just trying to do their due diligence. And now this guy is raising these issues, basically naming Baldoni when he's really referring to the Wayfarer parties, but he's choosing to name Baldoni by name calling
The
him a
Baldoni parties,
harasser.
which it's not, it's the Wayfarer parties, correct?
Right. Saying this sounds a lot like harassment and some other litigation that we found in a 179 page, whatever. Just getting cute with it. It's beyond unprofessional. Nothing about this has anything to do with service. I think that he potentially may have waived his client's right to service by arguing the merits of the subpoena. Friedman makes like this throwaway sentence like, hey, so, maybe this is all moot because he's actually appeared now. I don't know what the judge is going to do with that, but it's beyond ridiculous, beyond unprofessional. I'm actually litigating. I deal with this issue a lot. When people are looking for my clients, I will accept service on their behalf because I just don't like to dick around. It's like,
Right.
look, we'll do that and then we'll do whatever we got to do going forward. Why waste time? So when they're blatantly refusing to respond to request to accept service on their client's behalf, they're playing games. And it's really transparent. And this attorney knows better. I heard that he's been practicing for like 26 years. This is his firm. He's partnered at this firm. I heard he has beef with Friedman for whatever
He lost
reason.
a case, yeah, apparently most recently, exactly.
Yeah, and so it's so beyond the pale. This guy's a clown. In my personal opinion, I spent like an hour yesterday with Lauren using all kinds of colorful language to describe what I thought about this bit of litigation.
Well, yeah, because exactly, he's like, well, come on, they didn't even reach out to her talent agent, who's widely known in the industry, blah, blah, blah. You should have done a skip trace. It's like, dude, we sent it to you. You're her lawyer. You're responding. Why are you dicking us around? I mean, how is that not evading? She's making this claim that she's been harassed and they're trying to claim she isn't evading. But now it seems even clearer that she's evading because he could have happily just accepted and then challenged it. But do you think this is going to actually hurt her in the case of the judge? I mean, there's a theory also, Omar, that like, because I want to get to this other, I found this brilliant where Justin's team was kind of like, well, okay, she doesn't want to be involved. Well, then great. We're not going to use her. But that means Blake isn't going to use her too. So kind of pushing her in a corner of like, well, if Blake, you want to keep harassing her and force her in this, then yes, we're going to have to get our stuff, but it's up to you, Blake, was kind of a brilliant move. Do you think there was some like 3D chess happening where maybe this was an attempt to give Isabela almost an out so she didn't have to vilify Blake and Ryan? She could still appear in their good side while now suddenly having to be, forced in the corner where Blake's going to have to actually harass her, which we'll see if she does. There are theories going around like, because I'm having trouble explaining why any attorney would have done this. What do you think?
Yeah, I honestly think, I don't know what the motive of the law firm was to approach the opposition to the alternate service this way. I think there's some bad blood about the indemnity issue. Maybe that's a thing. But they brought that into this opposition. It has nothing to do with any of that. They're framing it as if the Wayfarer parties, or the Baldoni parties as they refer to them, told Isabela that they will honor her indemnity clause, but she has to accept service and they have to give the Wayfarer parties control over her response. Basically trying to frame it to the judge like Baldoni and the Wayfarer parties are trying to extort her into some response that she doesn't want to give. And then Friedman's like, yeah, we don't care. If they don't use her, we won't use her. It's not a thing. And even if they were, I'm confused. I think that Lively believes that she would get favorable testimony on behalf of Isabela in support of her SH claims against him. Maybe that's the thing. Let's just say that happens. Now her testimony doesn't mean dick because she has this ulterior motive about the indemnity thing. Now she's biased against Baldoni and the Wayfarer parties. So whatever value her testimony might have had has now been diminished.
Well, plus you have the email where she said Justin created such a safe space, which I can't imagine would help her in the trial. And they must know that. How can you write to someone who you didn't have a safe space with? It was such a safe space. It's pretty absurd. There is one of these emails are back and forth as well. We have a signed agreement. This is the last engagement I'll have on this topic. It's unacceptable, blah, blah, blah. Basically, why aren't you paying? You should be paying me and sorting this out, yada, yada, yada. You should pay whatever we want, which is not how it works, I'm being told.
Not at all.
And that beyond that, it's like, there's an interesting little part. We are absolutely done, and we will file the previously drafted lawsuit. Do you think that is real? Do you think that's just about payment? Or do you think, could she still come out the game and say, you know what, I'm going to file my own discrimination or harassment claim against Baldoni? Could that be part of it? What are your thoughts?
If they're using the threat of another lawsuit to extort them into honoring the indemnity clause. That would be an illegal extortion. I would hope that it's not what they're doing. I don't know if they're trying to threaten another retaliation, smear campaign, SH lawsuit against Baldoni. I just sincerely doubt it, especially given the communications that we know exist where she claimed that everything was safe, everything was great, whatever. I've heard some rumblings that she's trying to claim, oh, well, she was actually just this naive young actress and trying to make a name, and she didn't want to sully the name of the producer of the film, and so therefore she said nice things, but that's not what she really meant. I don't know if she's going to try to play that angle on it. If that's what they're doing, it is 100% civil extortion. It's illegal. It's illegal. And so I don't
even
know
think
if
of
that's
that.
their
It's
end
so
game or
true
not.
that this literally reads like, give us what we want or else.
Yeah, they're literally claiming that that's what the Wayfarer parties are doing. We'll honor indemnity, but you got to accept service subpoena and
Which they never say, by the way, in these emails. It's never like, hey, we're not saying this unless you give us this. He just constantly keeps asking, are you going to accept the service? It's like, clearly like, hey, are you accepting the service? We're still trying to figure that out.
Right, but they're doing it without saying it. You know what I mean? Like the implication is that it's an extortion. Like if you don't do this, then we're going to file the suit that we talked about. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, in this
Whether that
paragraph,
suit
it
is
sure does.
for,
I don't know, chat. What do you think? Is this extortion? That's a big one. Good catch, Omar. I mean, that's what's so crazy, right? The tactics. I mean, this isn't technically Blake's lawyer. This is Isabela's, but it does seem like she's on Blake's side. But beyond that, even in this other lawsuit, which I know you're not as familiar on, but this the one for sanctions, which they tried to get, they're basically out there saying that Friedman can't defend Justin in the press. And now not only should he be taken away from the case, but that you should pay our lawyer fees, we should pay sanctions. And they go off and they list like the 10 comments from Friedman, but then they brilliantly go back and find 16 comments that, Blake's lawyers and spokesmen said to Deadline and so many other places that paint him as the harasser and abuser and assayer and not, standing up for rights and will ruin all other victims. How is this not worse or the same level of defamation and of character that she's declaring? How can they think they're going to get away with this?
No, it's exactly the same thing. And it's like I've been saying for a long time, the lively attorneys are litigating this case like a bunch of divas. They make no accommodations. They have all of the grievances. They're constantly tattling on the Wayfarer parties, the Judge Lyman, asking for sanctions constantly because they're just a bunch of tattletales. That's what they do. And look, Friedman is allowed to have opinions about the litigation in the case that he's trying. He once had a cross complaint that was being litigated. It got dismissed. But even so, he is now defending his client against what he believes are frivolous allegations. Lively is out there accepting awards under the premise that Justin Baldoni is an abuser, sexual harasser, sexual predator. That's well out there. And so if you ask what's the score on the defamation scale, I'd say they're pretty much neck and neck if this is what we're considering defamation. All of it is in the context of defamation. I don't think either party has gone out of their way to go out of bounds or sensationalize things beyond what's reasonably expected in a high-profile celebrity trial such as this one. So I think that the request for sanctions is silly, and I think that Friedman's attorneys were well within their rights to strike back with examples of how they're doing exactly the same thing, if not worse. And so maybe we should all just go home, or maybe we should sanction them for continuing to dirty up the court's docket with these stupid motions.
Well, and even to wrap it up, and it's like they brilliantly also quoted Lyman's own ruling, like in this response. That, as Mr. Garofalo leaves the courtroom and gives a spin on what I've said or what you've said, what you said, that would be picked up. If it was Mr. Friedman who was here and gave a spin, that would be picked up. Clients do have a right to have their attorneys speak to members of the press, particularly in high-profile case, and give their interpretation.
Right.
The public has an interest in that also. I wouldn't begrudge you speaking to members of the press, and I'm not going to begrudge Ms. Garofalo doing that. So it's like, at what point does Lyman be like, enough? Like, I already ruled on this. This is absurd. Like, it is. I don't think he's being as biased as others claim, but it's hard to not see. Right. It's like, at some point, when are you going to start ruling in this courtroom and like, enough already? This docket is becoming such a damn mess. Look at this. 670 filings. Are you surprised by how sort of insane it's all getting?
I'm not surprised by it, but I think that this is a prime opportunity for Judge Lyman to step out and really admonish Lively's attorneys to knock it off with the nonsense. with the frivolousness. I've ruled on this. We've discussed this way back in February or whenever it was of this year about how this was going to be handled in the press. He's made statements at public hearings. He's had no problem admonishing the Wayfarer parties and their attorneys and Friedman and all these kinds of things for things that they've done. I think this would be a prime example or prime opportunity for him to strike back and just kindly admonish them, knock it off with the nonsense.
Yeah.
Unless it's an actual real grievance that's not something that's been previously discussed, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, no, a lot of us are still holding our breath.
Yeah, I know.
He hasn't done a lot of that, has he?
Not at all.
You guys, make sure you go support The Tilted Lawyer over on YouTube. There is the channel. Always a pleasure, Omar. Please come back anytime. We got to get you on back more. Appreciate you being here. Support him. Subscribe both there and here as well. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell for alerts. Smash that thumbs up and let us know your thoughts. Extortion, man, is Blake facing that next? Tell me what you think down below. We got a lot more coming your way here on Popcorn Planet.